489 489.
Tonight, get out before it gets in. To you.
It could have imitated 1 million life forms on 1 million planets. Could change into any one of them at any time.
Rarely does such an unwelcome visitor create such a good impression.
If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies. Nobody left to kill it. And then it's won.
The winner fakes all. The Thing. Tonight at 9:55 on Yorkshire.
Good evening. You're watching Yorkshire Television. Now the news and sport from ITN.
From the studios of ITN, the news and sport with Nicholas Owen and Steve Scott.
Good evening, the news and sport from ITN. Tonight's headlines. The Queen leads the nation commemorating the end of World War II. Rachel McKell's murder. Police uncover new evidence.
And the top sports story, Stan Collymore gives Liverpool a winning start to the season.
25,000 veterans joined the royal family today in ceremonies marking the 50th anniversary of victory over Japan and the end of the Second World War. This weekend sees the final great tribute to the wartime generation. In sweltering heat, the survivors of the Far East campaign came together to pay tribute to those who did not live to see victory. Norman Rees reports.
The Queen and Duke of Edinburgh led the nation's thanks to the wartime generation at a service of commemoration and remembrance. It was held at the gates of Buckingham Palace and brought together the Prince and Princess of Wales. The Archbishop of Canterbury acknowledged with gratitude the courage of all those who, despite the horrors of war, kept hope alive.
At this time, we have on our hearts, most particularly those who were involved in the conflict in Asia and the Pacific. But our commemoration is wider than this, for it is right for us to remember the part played by all the people of our nations and Commonwealth who lived through this period of war. For they shared the conviction that oppression and tyranny must not prevail.
The last post marked the beginning of the 2-minute silence. A Lancaster bomber broke the silence, spilling 1 million poppies along the Mall in memory of those who never came back. 400,000 Britons died in the war, 71,000 of them in the Far East, many from the 14th, the so-called Forgotten Army.
When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow we gave our today.
For many, the occasion and the extreme heat proved too much. Temperatures reached 86 degrees, and though water was distributed among the veterans, 1 man died, 4 others were taken to hospital. The commemoration service over, the Queen inspected the ranks of those veterans who couldn't join the parade. It was a chance for some informal royal moments among the veterans' families. The Prime Minister and Mrs. Major led VIPs up the Mall to take positions for the march past. And in a move that took everyone by surprise, the Duke of Edinburgh left the Queen's side to join the veterans. Prince Philip, who served as a naval officer in the Pacific, felt his place was with former comrades, giving the salute rather than receiving it. A gesture that clearly delighted the Queen. Earlier, the Prince had said he understood why so many prisoners of war felt unable to forgive and forget. It's the last parade for many of these veterans, a time to remember what they achieved, what they suffered, and those who died. Norman Rees, ITN, at the Mall.
After the ceremonies of remembrance, the focus of attention switched to the River Thames. With the royal yacht Britannia moored there and crowds lining the banks, all eyes were on the skies, as Kevin Dunn reports.
The evening began with the Queen boarding the ceremonial vessel, the Royal Nore, for a 25-minute procession down the Thames. She was accompanied by the blast of gun salutes and the blare of hooters from the accompanying flotilla as she made her way to Britannia. The veterans who followed her were greeted by Princes William and Harry, youngest of the royals. This evening's events are designed to demonstrate that despite the many bitter memories of the war in the Far East, there was there too a victory to celebrate. So ashore there were street parties, permitting many of the Far East veterans to commemorate their victory for the first and probably last time.
Well, the only time we've celebrated, I suppose, and the last time.
Until now, the war hadn't ended. All that was going on in this country was all very false and didn't mean a thing to us.
Above the Thames, two fairy swordfish led a flypast of past and present warplanes. It culminated in Hawk trainers spelling out the figure 50. And all followed with fascination by the royal party below. The evening was crowned with a reception aboard Britannia. And for a finale, Dame Vera Lynn, still the force's wartime favourite, began a firework display the authorities had promised would be unforgettable.
Well, our reporter Joan Theckertle's been following the day's events. She joins us now from the festivities on the Thames. Fireworks galore, Joan, music all around you?
Indeed, Nick, you join us in the middle of what is a truly spectacular firework display. I hope you can hear me above the bangs, the noise and the music here. Behind me you can see Tower Bridge and the Royal Yacht Britannia. The royal parties on Britannia, they've been watching the fireworks from there. And the Queen has obviously been having a great evening. Earlier she was taking photographs of the helicopters flying overhead. She's also been taking pictures of the thousands of people lining the embankment here. The whole river is a blaze of colour and light and music. It's a remarkable sight.
How would you sum up the mood of the day?
Well, it's been an extraordinary day, really, Nick. Earlier this afternoon, the service at Buckingham Palace was a very poignant affair, and now we've moved into celebration. In fact, the celebration started at the palace when the veterans started marching past the Queen and the crowd started roaring and cheering. And that's going on here this evening with this wonderful firework display. A nation saying thank you for 50 years of peace.
Joan Theckertle, thank you very much. The biggest events this weekend have been in London, but veterans have been taking part in parades and memorial services across the country. Tom Bradby reports.
All over the country all day, veterans have been marching with their comrades and remembering the dead here in Lichfield. Around 400,000 British and Commonwealth troops were killed in the Second World War, and for many of the veterans, like these men in Ashington in Northumberland, this has been a difficult day. All lost friends, many suffered greatly. The memories are vivid, the legacy bitter.
Do you find it now to forgive the Japanese for what?
Never. I'll never forgive them.
I'm not against what you call the Japanese, but it's a long time ago, isn't it? We all have to forgive and forget.
If the atmosphere has been largely sombre, there has been an air of celebration too, because the anniversary does mark the end of the worst conflict in history and the start of an era of relative peace. This is a weekend of commemorations, and tonight in Belfast they were rehearsing for tomorrow, when soldiers will beat the retreat simultaneously in Belfast, Edinburgh, London and Cardiff.
Now, other news. The father of Rachel Nickel told ITN today he's absolutely astonished that someone's come forward with new information 3 years after his daughter was stabbed to death on Wimbledon Common. 2 Scotland Yard detectives are to question a man in New Zealand. Adam Holloway reports.
According to today's reports, at about the time Rachel Nickel's body was found on Wimbledon Common, a woman who lived on this housing estate a few hundred metres away says she saw one of her neighbours in a shirt covered in blood. As a major investigation got underway, the man said to have disappeared completely. Only now has the witness, reportedly a drug addict who's recently been released from prison, spoken to the police.
What I find absolutely astonishing in this situation is that 3 years after she was killed, somebody suddenly appears out of the woodwork with what appears to be quite crucial evidence or quite important evidence, and yet they haven't done so before.
The police have now tracked the suspect down to New Zealand. ITN's reporter there has confirmed that 2 senior Scotland Yard detectives are expected to interview him in the morning.
There is somebody who has been living here for over 2 years, probably under a false name. The Auckland police are actually holding him possibly on a charge of making false statements to the immigration authorities, but they won't confirm that at the moment.
It's 3 years since Rachel Nickel was found murdered here, but now for the first time, the police have a witness. The sort of witness the prosecution never had in the trial of Colin Stagg, who got married earlier this week. He was acquitted of Rachel's murder after the judge strongly criticised the police handling of the case. This development will come as a welcome boost to the police investigation and to Rachel Nickel's family.
Oxfordshire police have spent the day questioning the people of the village of Ascot under Wychwood as they search for the killer of Vicky Thompson. A reward of £10,000 is being offered. Mrs Thompson, who had 2 children, died yesterday from wounds received when she was attacked a week ago. 3 top American officials and a French soldier have been killed in a road accident in Bosnia. Their armoured car crashed off the road on Mount Igman, hit a landmine and burst into flames.
United Nations officials examined the badly charred remains of the vehicle in which the diplomats had been travelling on a treacherous stretch of road on Mount Igman. The armoured personnel carrier had gone off the road and detonated 2 mines before going on fire. The team of diplomats had been travelling around Balkan capitals promoting a new American peace plan and were on their way to meet Bosnian leaders in Sarajevo. The surviving officials completed their journey and spoke of the tragedy.
The side of the road gave way, and the armored personnel carrier tumbled some 400 meters down a road, bounced through the trees, hit the road around the loop and continued down.
Previously, they'd held talks in Belgrade with President Milosevic. Robert Fraser, on the right, who died in the crash, had played a key role in drawing up the Land for Peace proposals. President Clinton interrupted a weekend break to pay tribute to the dead men. He said that he accepted that it was not an act of war.
I have received a full account of what occurred. I am convinced that it was a tragic accident. I am very grateful for the service that these fine men have rendered to their country and to the world.
The UN have been blasting new routes across Mount Igman in an attempt to make the road safer. Earlier this week, 2 British aid workers died in a crash. Non-combatants in Bosnia face many dangers, not just from the fighting. The deaths of the American diplomats on what the Bosnians call the most dangerous road in the world is a serious setback for the US initiative.
That report by John Draper. The husband of the British climber Alison Hargreaves said tonight he was starting to close the book on his wife's life. Jim Ballard was speaking after 2 Spanish climbers said they had seen Alison's body 1,000 metres below the summit of K2. Howell Jones reports from Pakistan.
It's now 6 days since Alison Hargreaves and her climbing partners were caught in a storm near the summit of K2. Today, 2 Spanish mountaineers injured in the same storm described how they found what they believed to be her clothing. They saw Alison's jacket and boots a few hundred metres from the summit of K2. The climbers came within 100 metres of the climbing gear and were sure that it belonged to Alison. At home in Scotland, her husband said that he had finally given up hope of seeing Alison again.
They are absolutely certain, from what they saw, that the body they saw at around about 7,000 metres, as they were escaping from the mountain, was Alison's.
Climbing the mountain had long been one of Alison's ambitions. The Spanish climbers who found her clothes on the slopes were convinced that she had made it to the summit. Howell Jones, ITN, in the Himalayas.
Back here, 7 million people expecting to have a hosepipe ban from today have been told it won't happen just yet because of an administrative blunder. Severn Trent Water's ban isn't legal until it's been advertised in at least 2 national newspapers, but today it appeared in just 1. James Bays reports.
The hoses were back out tonight, but not for long. The Severn Trent Water Company had announced that all its domestic users would be banned from using hose pipes. However, due to a technicality, the restrictions cannot be enforced. By law, notices should have been published in 2 national newspapers, but only 1 advert appeared in today's Sun. It's led to confusion for gardeners in the region, but the water company says it's not its fault.
We could have done without this, but it's just one of those things, and I hope our customers understand that what we're trying to do is to conserve their drinking water supplies into the autumn.
When the ban does finally come into force on Tuesday, people will be urged to report their neighbours if they see them flouting the ruling.
I think that's pretty sneaky. I don't think that's the way to do it at all. I think all you've got to do is really rely on the goodwill of the people involved.
I think if I saw a neighbour breaking the ban, I'd have a quiet word with them rather than phoning up and telling tales.
A total of 18 million people will be subject to water restrictions when the Severn Trent ban is eventually imposed. Another company, Thames Water, is said tonight also to be considering introducing a hosepipe ban in some parts of its region. James Bays, ITN, Cheltenham.
Now it's time for the sports news with Steve Scott.
Manchester United started their Premiership campaign in the worst possible way today. Without Cole, Giggs and Bruce, in addition to their summer sales, they crashed 3-1 at Aston Villa. New signing Mark Draper scored Villa's second in a first-half rampage. Alan Shearer, last season's top marksman, got the only goal as champions Blackburn had a winning start at Ewood Park. But goalkeeper Tim Flowers became the first Premiership sending off when he fouled QPR's Trevor Sinclair. The first goal of the season came from Efe Nkoku. His strike, after just 5 minutes, set Wimbledon on course for victory over newcomers Bolton. Some of the big money signings began to pay back their transfer fees. Britain's most expensive player, £8.5 million Stan Collymore, grabbed Liverpool's winner against Sheffield Wednesday at Anfield. And Les Ferdinand rounded off a good afternoon for Newcastle at St James's Park with the third against Coventry. The stars who stayed put during the close season have also hit form early on. Matthew Le Tissier grabbed the season's first hat-trick, but still ended up on the losing side at the Dell. Notts Forest on top in a 7-goal thriller. And Tony Yeboah continued his prolific strike rate with 2 for Leeds as they came from 1 down to take the points at Upton Park. In Scotland, it was the Coca-Cola Cup second round and a record day for Rangers. Ali McCoy scored his 300th goal for the club to put the league champions 1 up. And Paul Gascoigne rounded off what's been a dream start for him with the final goal at Ibrox. After all the hype, Mike Tyson gets into the ring in Las Vegas tonight for the first time for 4 years. He's 2-1 on to knock down the journeyman fighter Peter McNeely within 2 rounds. The evening's work will earn him £16 million. Jonathan Munro reports.
Who is the former heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson.
The most famous boxer since Muhammad Ali and the most famous rapist of all time. Mike Tyson says he's fit and ready for his return to the ring, but the chances are that tonight in Las Vegas, his boxing and coxing will hardly be tested. His opponent is the Irish-American Peter McNeely, widely regarded as being a walkover for Tyson. Dwarfed by his flamboyant promoter, the former champion gave his fight forecast.
I'm going to knock Peter McNeely out.
Tyson served half of a 6-year sentence for his rape conviction, something he's always denied. Since his release, he's trained relentlessly, gone teetotal, and started learning Chinese. In Vegas tonight, he will prove one thing at least, that his earning power is greater now than before he was jailed. He's being paid $25 million, whatever the result. In some cases, it seems, crime can pay rather rich dividends. Jonathan Munro, ITN, in the United States.
The giant New Zealand winger Jonah Lomu has confirmed he'll stay with rugby union in his home country, at least until the next World Cup. The 20-year-old has been the target of rugby league scouts ever since he destroyed England with 4 tries in the last World Cup semi-final. He turned down a £1 million offer from Leeds to switch codes. Here, England's top clubs have backed proposals to set up a European competition next year. It would mean yet another shake-up of the Courage League this season, due to start in 3 weeks' time. Racing, and the favourite Private Line has won the big race of the day, the Atlanta Mile at Sandown. Pat Edery's mount lengthened her stride with a furlong to go for his 78th win of the season and a winner's cheque of £12,000. So the full SP, first the favourite Private Line, 9-4, second Louis Queen, 12-1, and third a la carte, 3-1. Monica Seles has continued her fine comeback in her first tournament since being stabbed more than 2 years ago. The former world #1, who yesterday beat Anke Huber, dropped only one game in the quarter-final of the Canadian Open against the 6th seed Gabriela Sabatini. She'll meet either Amanda Kurtzer or Jana Novotná next. Cricket and Warwickshire remain on course for a second successive treble. They cruised to a 10-wicket victory over Nottinghamshire to return to the top of the Britannic Assurance Championship. Tim Munton took 5 wickets in Nott's second innings to add to his 5 in the first. In the Roses match, Lancashire have avoided an innings defeat thanks to England captain Mike Atherton. He made an unbeaten 93 to leave Lancashire 79 runs ahead of Yorkshire with 3 second innings wickets left. Yorkshire favourites to win that one. The Australian Carrie Webb has kept her overnight lead in the Women's British Open at Woburn. A 35-foot eagle putt on the last green ensured she takes a one-stroke lead into the final round. Britain's Laura Davis shot a disastrous 77 and is now 17 strokes behind the leader.
The winning numbers in this week's National Lottery draw were picked earlier this evening. They are 5, 8, 23, 24, 28, 48, and the bonus number 19. The jackpot is £20 million, but the organisers haven't yet said whether anyone's won it. Finally, we return to the ceremonies today marking the 50th anniversary of the end of the war. Among them, these famous words, part of the many tributes to those who died.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
And that's all from ITN this evening. I'm sorry, from ITN this evening, from Steve and me, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello, good evening. It's very much more of the same on the weather fronts, meaning, unfortunately, those drought-like conditions go on and on. In fact, let's try and put things in context by taking a look at our Met Office wind flow chart here. What we have is high pressure in charge over the near continent and Britain, and that gives us a block of warm air more or less stagnating here. Now, running that over the next couple of days, we see there's very little change indeed. In fact, well into next week, we've still got that hot weather persisting, and so unfortunately no sign of any real rain for most places, at least for the foreseeable future. On to tomorrow morning now, and we see a grey, grisly start to things, just like today in fact. Mist and low cloud lurking there in central and eastern areas, dry and bright out to the west. It won't be too long though before the sun gets to work on that mist and low cloud, chasing it way back to the coastal fringes. Having said that, it could well persist in northeastern England as well as eastern Scotland, at least on the beaches there. So with temperatures tomorrow, a high of 30 inland, 86 in Fahrenheit, down on that on the coasts with a sea breeze as well. Good night.
Sponsored by PowerGen, producing electricity, whatever the weather.
Later this month, GMTV's Eamon Holmes will present ITV's National Television Awards. And next week, only on GMTV, it's your last chance to vote for your television favourites. And Jocelyn Brown and CJ Lewis on the Spanish Roadshow with Anthea Turner next week.
Kurt Russell stars in John Carpenter's sci-fi horror movie, The Thing, next.
A new series of Heartbeat, coming soon on Yorkshire.
For hundreds of thousands of years, it has been man's most basic instinct to protect. And no other insurance company protects more of the things that are important to you than Norwich Union. Norwich Union. No one protects more.
To those men who are always there for others, who pass on traditions, who give their best every day, we give our best. Gillette Sensor Excel. Spring-mounted twin blades that adjust to your face, and soft, flexible microfins that set up your beard. And Gillette Series Shave Gel. There's no better shave gel. Sensor Excel. For the closest, most comfortable shave ever. Gillette, the best a man can get.
We're landing in the heart of England for the Andrex Ultra European Challenge. Hello, Sarah.
Let's see if your Andrex Ultra reaches the end of my bar.
Quick to absorb, Andrex Ultra is better than conventional kitchen roll. It's strong even when wet.
Good gracious!
And we'll convince you on the spot that nothing absorbs quicker and better than Andrex Ultra. There's no quicker, cleaner upper.
With a Morphy Richards Easy Clean Cool Wall Fryer, there's only one thing easier than cleaning its non-stick removable tank. And its dishwasher-safe lid with permanent filter. And that's the ease with which it cooks great chips. The Morphy Richards range of Easy Clean Cool Wall Fryers guaranteed to make life easy.
Ford are announcing their new August half and half plan. It means you can drive away a brand new car, but only pay for half of it. There's nothing more to pay for 2 years. Then you simply pay for the other half. Or, uniquely with Ford, if you don't want to keep the car, you can just give it back. So, there are no monthly repayments, no interest charges, and you even get a year's free insurance. Ford's new August half and half plan. We don't do things by halves.
Body form invisible. Ultra thin. Ultra reliable. Less is most definitely more.
In a time where the odds were against them, they brought in one man to boost morale.
You know, you go in the jungle, make a statement. If you're going to fight, clash.
But then they thought he pushed it too far.
Turn it off now!
Because in wartime, death and destruction is more than a joke. Next Saturday on Yorkshire, the film which exposed the truth, Robin Williams stars in.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Now we meet an extraterrestrial, shape-changing organism, better known as the Thing.
Have a cool break. Have a new Kit Kat ice cream.
And now, the news of the world.
To answer your question, it's called Full Time. It's 12 pages of match reports and it's Britain's only Sunday soccer pullout. Now that's news.
People who iron creases in their jeans. People who always work out their exact share of the bill. People who fold their gym jams. They're not going to like this at all. The Tigra from Vauxhall. Fun, if you like that sort of thing.
And for Riverhead United, there's a change from your printed programme. At number 7, David Platt.
You better be good with a name like that.
David!
Nice one, Dave.
On, David!
David Platt? He must have cost you a few bob. Interesting story. Last Wednesday week it was. Driving home late, saw these lads broken down. They'd been in town at the Grand for the Player of the Year awards.
What have you got?
Says Platty. Big Mac, large fries, fillet of fish for the wife, says I.
I'll give you a tenner for it.
Says David. No chance, says I.
100?
Says David.
There's got to be something.
You didn't get Platty for a Big Mac and a fillet of fish. Of course not. Just a Big Mac. Bernice would have killed me.
Spots?
Everyone gets them.
I tried to squeeze a few before I came on the camera.
I don't worry about them.
I just oxycute.
Spots? Oxycute them with Oxy 10.
It really does work.
To tell you about IKEA, the home furnishing store from Sweden, we were going to get a top international celebrity. Anyway, the big cheese said, how much? We could get 20 Keith Chegwins for that. So, there you go.
Well, hey, if you're looking for inspiration for your home, then look no further than IKEA. Sofas, they've got stacks. Lamps, loads of them. Beds, billions. Kitchens and lots more. Come down to IKEA. It's a great place. Oi, will you stop that? Opens Thursday.
Unwrap an amazing fruit. Solero from Walls. Breathe in the aroma of exotic fruits. Unpeel the softness of refreshing fruit puree. Sink into luscious dairy vanilla ice cream. Let it all melt together on your tongue. Fruit will never taste the same again. Solero from Walls.
Detective John McClane is about to have a very bad day.
Tell me about it.
Die Hard with a vengeance.
You look after your body. Lynx Skin System Sensitive Deodorant looks after your skin.
Someone cares enough to know you sometimes need your prints quickly. And that someone cares enough to guarantee perfect memories. Or they'll reprint them for free. Boots. Someone cares.
If you're looking for a used car, let your Rover dealer look for you. He has immediate access to a wide variety of quality used Rovers. He'll find the model you want with the features you want, and he'll ensure it's been checked and approved by a specialist Rover inspector before you take delivery. At Rover Dealers, we care enough to take all the worry out of acquiring a used car. Well, nearly all.
There's never been a card quite like the Shell Smart Card. It lets you pick up gifts from Shell stations and save for bigger items from our catalogue, like tapes and CDs. You can also donate money to charities, you can get UCI cinema tickets, or even collect air miles. Get smart. To get the card, phone free on 0800 006 008.
So, what's your favourite fantasy?
Floating in an ocean of virtually fat-free butt. Totally dreamy walls.
And how about a little something on the side? Virtually fat-free and totally dreamy, walls too good to be true, what fantasies are made of.
Peter, get a move on. Big day today.
OK, Mum.
And dress nicely.
When you've only one good shirt,
Hello.
one important interview,
And who's that?
Granny, and one chance. New generation Persil liquid now has grease releases to get rid of more greasy stains like this first time.
Relax, you'll make it.
I like your attitude. Thanks very much. This is good. Very good. See you next week.
Persil performs brilliantly, and it shows.